Sahanavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karnedhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshavidyajtraha Sthirairangai Stushtvagumsastanubhi Yashema Devahidam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vridhashavaha Swasti nः Pusha Vishvavedaः Swasti nastārkṣyo Karishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdadātu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Atashvalayano Bhagavantam Parameshtinam upasametyovacha Adi Bhagavan Brahmavidyam Varishtam Sada Sadbhis Sevyamanam Nigudham Yaya Chirat Sarva Papam Vyapohya Parat Param Purusham Yati Vidvan Tasmai Sahovacha Pitamahascha Shraddha Bhakti Jnana Yogatmavehi. Mantra number 11. Atmanamaranim krutva Pranavam chottaranim Jnana nirmathanabhyasat Papam dahati panditaha. Papam dahati or pasham dahati. Panditaha. This word has the same meaning as the word occurring in the Gita, Ashocyan, Anvashocastvam, Prajnavadamscha Vashase, Gatasun, Agatasunscha, Nanushocanti, Panditaha. The same Pandita here. Yeah, the Atmanamaranim Kritva, these are the meaning of the words, we saw. And in this mantra, the Abhyasa, the continuation, the repetition of this Jnana. And very apt word Abhyasa, because when we churn, when it is churned, the two wooden blocks are churned, the fire does not show immediately. It takes quite some time for the heat to build up and then it to convert into a flame. So it takes time. Churn once and then you don't get the fire. It's not a matchstick. It's not the matchstick, but then you need to do the abhyasa. Mathana abhyasa. Repeatedly do. Keep doing. How long do I do the churning of that wooden rod on the block? Till the fire manifests. So to here, I keep the inquiry on, keep inquiring, keep the vichara on. Other words, keep the shravana, manana and nididhyasana going. Also, whatever that is necessary for shravana, etc., to go on, namely the Bahiranga sadhanas that are necessary, and then Samadhi, the Chitta Shuddhi, Karanani, that also, whatever that is necessary. That is the Jnana Nirmatana Abhyasa. Taking to Shravanadi, and then whatever that is conducive, helpful for Shravanadi, that's also, all that's all repeatedly done, practiced, Abhyasa, with the conviction. Elsewhere it is said, Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkara or Adara Nairantarya Dirghakala, it is mentioned. Adara means commitment, with a commitment, with a conviction. Commitment comes by one's own conviction. So Adara, and then Dirghakala, for a length of time. What is that length here? Length of time till one gets the result, till the sadhana becomes yielding fruit, yielding the result. That is the Dirghakala. And also Nairantarya, continuously, regularly. That is the Abhyasa here. By that, Panditaha Pasham, the Avidya Granthi is cut off. The effect of Avidya, one becomes free from, lives in the wisdom, lives in the result of the wisdom, that is Purnatvam. Okay. Now here we read the commentary. Atmanam antahkaranim, antahkaranam, Atmanam antahkaranam, Aranim Vanhi Janakam, Mantra Sanskritam Kashtam Kritva, Adha Vidhaya, Adhara Aranitvena Chintayitva, Ityartha, making oneself the lower wooden block. Arani. What is the lower arani here? The figuratively, what is referred to with the lower block? Antahkaranam. That is the meaning of Atmanam here. Making one's intellect, one's mind, oneself. Here I have pointed out earlier, the intellect and the heart and the emotional being need to come together. Their purposes need to be identified as one. In other words, the intellect and the emotional being need to see the ends and means in unison, in tandem. There has to be a harmony between the head and the heart. Very, very important. It's a bulk of the work, the sadhaka's effort is in tuning the heart, in tune with the head. That's the bulk of the work. That's where the commitment, shraddha, bhakti, all that come into play. So, the chitta shuddhi, chitta ekagrata means both are in harmony. My head and my heart are in unison. They are both informed, they are both in harmony. It's not an easy thing to come by. It comes only after, as a result of a very, very long abhyasa practice. So here antahkaranam refers to together, the head and the heart remaining together. And making that aranim, arani is vanni janakam, what produces fire. And here it is not merely a fire or merely a block of wood, but it is mantra samskritam kashtam. Samskritam, a very apt description here. The kashta, the wood, is samskrita, rendered pure, pure for the fire, which is going to be used for higher purposes in the yaga, and therefore the kashta is mantra samskritam. Similarly, manaha is shamadamadi samskritam. In the Bhagavad Gita Bhashyam, Bhashyakara Sri Shankaracharya points out shamadamadi sadhanaihi samskritam manaha samskritam antahkaranam. A mind which is purified by the practice of Shama, Dama, the values, the virtues, live the virtues. It's not enough that I know, but it's the more important thing is that I live that. Very few people do that. People don't do that very often. People don't live by the virtue they know. They know that this is fact, this is correct, but then they don't live by it. But here one has to live by those virtues. That is the Shamadhamadi. It's easy to say, it's easy for the head to understand, but it is not easy, so easy for one to practice. Because in practicing, there will be a lot of resistance from within. You yourself will resist practicing the values, simplicity, maunam, etc. You will resist. There will be resistance within. One has to see that there is resistance, acknowledge it, and then find means to overcome, to be free from that resistance within. It's a big job, really very, very big job it is. It is the biggest job, to overcome the resistance from within. So it's very, very important. For that one needs to have a conviction, and then satsanga, a lot of grace is necessary. Things work because of grace. Therefore, a lot of grace has to be there. One has to earn the grace also. So, Shamadhamadi sadhana samskritam antahkaranam. One has to live by those values, at least to the extent possible now, so that I can grow in those values. As I practice, I grow in those values. So, and then, is it enough? A pure mind, is it enough? No. All right, a pure mind becomes a fit receptacle, a vessel for this knowledge, this wisdom. But then one has to have the wisdom. The vessel is pure, but then it has to be filled. That is it. Therefore, Bhashyakara says further, Shravanadi Guru Shastra Upadeshena Samskritam Cha, he says. That mind which is further purified by the Upadesha of Guru and Shastra. Shastra Acharya Upadeshena Samskritam Cha. That Manaha is the means for the Jnanam. Therefore, here is Mantra Samskritam. There with reference to mind, Shamadhamadi Sadhana Samskritam plus Acharya Shastra Upadesha Samskritam. That Manaha Kashtam Kritva, making it that way. Kashtam Kritva, here is, he explains, Adaha Vidhaya, making it the lower block. Now, is it a literal process? Should we do it literally, making oneself as a lower block? Here, no. Here he says, Adhara Aranitvena Chintayitva, looking upon oneself as like the Adhara Arani, the lower block. That's all. Whatever role that Adhara Arani does in producing the fire, may one look upon oneself as the Adhara Arani. That is where the fire is produced. Where is the Jnanam produced? In me. So, looking upon myself as like the Adhara Arani. Alright. Pranavam Omkaram Uttara Aranim Uttara Aranimapi. Pranavam means Omkaram, which is the word for Parabrahma and Aparam Brahma, Sagunam Brahma and Nirgunam Brahma, Omkaram. All that is implied by the Omkara, that becomes the Uttara Aranim. Right? Uttara Aranim api Kritva iti Vidhaya, making that like the Uttara Arani, the upper wooden block or the churning rod, wooden rod. Okay. Then Chakaraha Kritva iti Etad Anuvritti Arthaha. The word Cha, Pranavam Cha, Uttararanim in the mantra, the word Cha, Chakaraha, Kritva iti, etat anuvritti artha. Anuvritti artha, for the sake of bringing in anuvritti, bringing in from the previous sentence, bringing what? Kritva, making it. Making pranava the uttararani. That's what. That's for the cha is for bringing in the kritva, making pranava as the uttararani. Okay. The detail of Omkara, what it means, it's the Omkara refers, in brief, Omkara refers to the waker, dreamer and sleeper all together. And not only that, Omkara also refers to the one who is consciousness, which is free from waker, dreamer and sleeper also, all together. As an individual, at the individual level, waker, dreamer, sleeper and one who is the witness, one who is free from all the three. Also the total level, the samashti level, the Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara and Brahma. The Vyashti and the Samashti. Here Shastra, when it talks about Omkara in detail, it points out that the distinction or the difference between the individual and the total is purely from the standpoint of Upadhi. Purely from the standpoint of Upadhi. I and you, the difference is purely based on the standpoint of body, mind and Upadhi. In essence, you and I are one. In essence, I and everything is one. Therefore, it's very, very repeatedly, with a great commitment, it is pointed out. The Samashti and Vyashti, the difference. Vyashti means individual, Samashti means total. That difference purely from the standpoint of Upadhi. In one of the Prakarana Grantha books, it is pointed out like a tree and the forest. Right? A tree is a member of the forest. Look at from the individual standpoint, it's called a tree. But see it from the standpoint of total, the very same tree is the forest. In other words, is part of the forest, very integral part of forest. So, the tree and forest division is purely from the standpoint of the Upadhi, namely the tree, whereas there is no difference in terms of its essence. So too, the Vyashti and Samashti are seen as individual, different, purely from the standpoint of Upadhi. But then Omkara, the description of Omkara, the Shastra and Acharya say that, point out that the difference is Aupadikam only. Bhedaha Aupadikaha, due to Upadhi alone. Therefore, the Vishwa, Taijasa and Prajna, the waker, dreamer and sleeper at the individual level, and Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara at the Samashti level, they are one. All are referred to by the word Om. That's the idea. Is to say that the Vishwa is me, I am not Vishwa. That is, waker is me, I am not the waker. And then the dreamer is me, I am not the dreamer. And then sleeper is me, I am not the sleeper. What is me then? I am the one, Turiyam, consciousness, Chaitanyam, who is free from all of these, the limitations of all of these. I am the Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta, Swabhava. And what about the Samashti then? Again the same method applies. The Virat is Brahman, Brahman is not Virat. And the Hiranyagarbha is Brahman, Brahman is not Hiranyagarbha. And then Ishvara is Brahma in the sense that with the Upadhi. So Ishvara is Brahma, Brahma is not Ishvara. Elsewhere we say Ishvara is Brahman. But here with the Upadhi, Karana Sharira, Samashti Karana Sharira, we say Brahman is not Ishvara. Understand the context, okay? Elsewhere we say Brahman is Ishvara, Ishvara is Brahma. But here we say with the Upadhi, right? The truth of the Upadhi is negated here. The reality, the Paramarthikatva of the Upadhi is negated here. Brahman is not Ishvara. So, what is that Brahman? That Atma, who is free from waker, dreamer and sleeper. And therefore the Brahman and Atma are one. The identity of Brahma and Atma. All that constitutes the Uttara Arani, the process of the Shastra. In a sense, the Shastra, the teaching, Ishvara, Brahma, that is the Uttara Arani. Okay, then continuing. Jnana Nirmatana Abhyasat. By the Abhyasat, by the Abhyasa of Nirmatana, churning. Churning here is Jnanam. And then he explains that Jnanasya Nirmatana. Jnanasya. What is Jnana? Explains Sarvatmakaha Aham Asmi Iti Evam Rupasya. Evam Rupa, in this form. Evam Rupa, in this form. What is that form of this Jnanam? Aham Sarva Atmakaha. I am the Atma of Sarva. I am the truth of everyone. I am the truth of everything. I and you, the difference is purely Upadhi, brought in by the Upadhi. But then, in truth, in reality, on inquiry, I understand that I am the truth of everything. Sarvatmaka Aham. In me there is no division, there is no Veda. Right? When I am the Atma of all, then the Upadhi Dharma, Upadhi limitation cannot be for me. When the Ghatakasha understands that I am the Mahakasha, then the limitation of Ghatakashatva, being a Ghatakasha, the limitation that Akasha understands that does not belong to me. It's purely from the standpoint of Upadhi. So too, here I am the truth of everything. We saw this already, it was mentioned in the 9th mantra. Sayeva sarvam yad bhutam yaccha bhavyam sanatanam, it was pointed out. Sayeva sarvam, that Brahmatma is everything. Bhutam bhavyam, that was pointed out. That is the sarvatmakaha aham iti evam rupasya jnanasya. This is the jnana referred to, not anything else. And then nirmathanam, churning. What is it? Nirmathanam, he says, yuktibihi, vilodanam, churning. What is the churning here? Is it physical? No. Yuktibihi, by analysis, by vichara, by inquiry. Right? Take to all the proper methods of inquiry. Look into yourself, look into your own ideas, understanding, and look into what the Shastra says, and then see whether they are matching. See where is the mismatch. If there is mismatch, where is the mismatch? What is the reason for the mismatch? Is the mismatch valid or it's not valid? See that and then understand, resolve the any seeming differences, contradiction between one's idea. If it is wrong, I give up. If it is fine, if it is in tune with the Shastra, then I nurture that. Yukti bihi vilodanam. There are two types of yukti, basically, which I have mentioned earlier. Bheda, Badhaka, Tarka. And Abheda, Sadhaka, Tarka. Tarka means reasoning, analysis. Twofold. One is Bheda, Badhaka, Tarka. That Tarka which sublates, which negates the absolute truth of the Bheda, the division, the smallness. Bheda is Aupadika. That is the essence of Bheda, Sadhaka, Tarka. Bheda, Badhaka, Tarka. And then Abheda, Sadhaka, Tarka. One's own level of this higher nature and also the Shastra teaching, one's Purushartha. These are the essence of the Abheda, Sadhaka, Tarka. Taking to both. Look into one's own ideas, conclusions, and then see whether they stand the test of Purushartha and also the Shastra. Look into that. Yuktibihi Vilodhanam. This is the Nirmathanam here. And then Tasya Abhyasaha. Repetition of that, of this Nirmathanam. What is the Abhyasa here? He says Avritti Rupaha. The practice here is repetition. Avritti means repetition. Rupa in the form of repetition. Repeated Shravanam. Repeated Mananam. Repeated Nididhyasanam. And for that, whatever that is necessary, Abhyasa of those values, those virtues also. And this is the Jnana Nirmatana Abhyasa. He says, this is the Jnana Nirmatana Abhyasa. This is the practice of churning of this Jnanam. By this, what happens is Tasmat. By the Jnana Nirmatana Abhyasat. By that. Utpanna. Bond that arises. Aham Brahmasmi iti. Sakshatkara. Sorry, I read wrongly. Tasmaditi. Tasmad. Utpannena. Born of that. Produced by that. By the Jnana Nirmatana Abhyasa. What is the Agni here? Says Aham Brahmasmi iti. Sakshatkara Agnina. Sakshatkara, the direct understanding, the clear understanding, owned wisdom, assimilated knowledge. That is the Sakshatkara here. And this is compared to the Agni, the fire, the Jwala. Sakshatkara Agnina. What is the Sakshatkara form? Says Aham Brahma. Brahma is everything. I am that. Aham Brahmasmi iti. This is the Sakshatkara, and this is referred to Agni here. And by this fire, Pasham, bondage, ropes that bind. What is the bondage here? What are the ropes here? Says Atmanaha Bandhana Rupam. Bandhana, bondage. What project? What make one seem? What make one think that I am bound, I am small, I am the sufferer, I am subject to Sukha Dukkha. This is the Bandhanam. Atmanaha Bandhana Rupam Pasham. Bondage, ropes, binding rope. Not a happy situation at all. One seeing that I am bound, I am suffering, etc. It's not a happy situation, and one wants to be free from that bondage, wants to discover the abiding freedom, and therefore one wants to be free from. It's a notion. Bondage is a notion. Again, it's not a real entity in analysis. How do we say it's not real? What goes is not real. What comes and goes is not real. What is negated by, in the light of a better wisdom, in the better understanding, what is subject to removal, that is not real. This is the way we see reality. Yat abaditam, what is never negated, that is satyam. What is once understood as true, then remains that same way all the time. That is the satyam. But what is thought of as true, but then later on undergoes negation, removal, sublation, in the light of a better pramana, better understanding, then that is not true. Like, recall the example of a snake and rope. The snake is seen as real, thought of as real in dark, in half light, but then it is sublated. in the presence of good light. Therefore, the snake is not real. That's all. The rope remains rope, right? Even never it is negated. That is, a rope is not negated that much. Therefore, here the bandhanam is that the bondage is something which gets negated by understanding. Therefore, that cannot be real. It's only a notional. The bondage is in the form of an idea, notion. I am a samsari. I am subject to dukkha. I am a sufferer. Is the notion. Very, very strong it is. Very, very strong. It doesn't go away all that easily. It's easily said, but then it does not go away easily for the vast majority. It doesn't go. It's very, very deep rooted. That I am an individual, this notion, aham manushyaha, aham jivaha, aham dukkhi, aham samsari, aham parichinnaha, this sort of notions, they are very, very deep rooted. They do not go away easily. You cannot wish them away, right? Just let it go. It doesn't go just like that. One has to take the necessary sadhana. That's why jnana nirmatana abhyasa it is said. Listen to the shastra, listen to the teaching, and just go on. Just don't go on listening to one's own, the heart, which it was present when one did not have the upadesha, when one was not clear about the purushartha, when one did not have the upadesha. That heart, what the heart said, don't go on listening to that. Okay. Just we give reality to our own thinking, our own ideas. We give reality, like the child, gives reality to its own shadow in darkness. Power cut, and there is a small lamp, and there is a shadow, the child's own shadow, and the child thinks that it is some other entity, and then is scared, afraid of that. We give reality to our own thinking. We think that what we think is real. This is a big challenge. It is how to know that it is real, how to know that it is not real, how to know that my thought is not real, it's not valid. How to know that? A big challenge it is. So we have basically the two indicators in this. One indicator and also one mean. The indicator is that our purushartha, the parama purushartha, that's a very, very strong pointer. Is my idea, is my thinking correct anymore? Should I think that my thinking is correct anymore? For that, our purushartha is a very, very strong pointer. And the pramana is here. The pramana says, you are Brahman, you are everything, you are Shuddha Buddha Mukta Svabhava. That is the pramana. We have to see that, right? Take recourse to the pointer, that is our purushartha nischaya. Our clear nischaya, use the word nischaya, not an idea, but a conviction. A conviction of what one really is seeking. Purushartha nischaya and the pramana, these two are the help which will stand by in ascertaining as to whether I think, what I think is true, right? Whether it is true. I think so, is it true? To ascertain that, these two are the help. Purushartha nischaya and shastra. There is no other third, there is no other entity. Only two. Purushartha nischaya and shastra alone, these two alone are there. So ascertaining that, I see that my ideas, it's not all that real, it's not true. So I can give up. In the light of better understanding, in the light of, when the presence of light, I give up the erroneous notion that this is a snake, right? So I can give up happily the notion that I am a samsari, I am small, and all that erroneous notions in the light of pramana and in the light of the purushartha nischaya. Recollect, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is one verse, Vyavasayatmika buddhihi yekeha kurunandana. A very beautiful, very powerful statement there. That Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Eka, is of one form. It never undergoes change. It's never supplanted by any other experience or any other idea. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Eka. So, that's the Purushartha Nishchaya. And again in the Upanishad also, in the Mundaka we see this Pariksha Lokan Nirvedamayat Brahmanaha. Again a very beautiful, very powerful statement. So, the bondage is only a notion, purely a notion. We lend paramarthikatvam to that. It may be vyavaharika, okay, but it is never paramarthika. That's the idea. So, we have to go through that. One has to go through that. One's own idea about oneself and one's ideas about things also. One has to have a thorough look, relook. One has to have, and then see that, see what is the valid one, what is the truth, and then hold on to it. So, the pasham, the bondage is purely a notion, very powerful, very strong notion. So, pasham, atmana bandhana rupam. And this bondage is brought about by what the commentator Acharya points out, ajnana rajju rachitam, brought about by, made up by, put up by, rachita, rachana, created by, put up by, made up by, rajju, the rope. What is the rope here? Ajnana. Ajnana is the rajju, the binding ropes. And these ropes bind a person. Ajnana, rajju, rachitam. This is the pasham. Whereby one feels choked, restricted, not free within. I think I said earlier, the freedom, external freedom is only limited. All the time it's only limited. There is no limitless expression, limitless words. No. Whatever you want to say, you can say. Whatever you want to express, you can express. Whatever you want to do, you can do. No. That sort of external freedom is always limited. It's never unlimited. Never. Even in heavens, it is not so. Right? So, what to talk of here? Don't look for absolute freedom externally. It's all freedom again. An idea, an understanding, it obtains within. It's after all me who has to say that I am free. Okay? Like even it's after all me who has to understand that I am happy, I am free. So too, I am free is only a discovery within actually. So the inner freedom, and the inner freedom alone is total. Okay? It's absolute, it's total. There is no external freedom in terms of behavior, in terms of response. One is governed by the situation, circumstance. There is propriety. I cannot dress whatever I want to wear. No. I cannot say whatever I want to say. I cannot say anything to anyone. It is not simply proper. There is no. Don't look for external freedom. You will be disappointed. But whereas look for the freedom within, and you will be rewarded definitely, because freedom is within always within. So we have to behave. No, in Rome we behave like Romans. That's the practical wisdom. When you are in Rome, be like a Roman, right? I cannot say I like to be an Antarctican when I am in Rome. No, be a Roman, like a Roman. See, propriety. Propriety is important. Okay. In keeping with the situation, with the times, right, with the place, the factors govern. Whereas freedom is always within. Happiness is always within. Happiness and freedom are synonymous here. Happiness is freedom. Freedom is happiness. That is the peacefulness. That is the purnatvam, and that's always within. And therefore, here, this ajnana, rajju, rachitam, purely brought up by this ajnana, the sense of bondage. I am bound, I am limited, etc. That is the granthi, that is the pasha. That he explains further. Aham mama adi granthim. Very strongly knotted one, granthi, right? I am tied up, I am around me, I am rounded by rope and then tied also, tied tight. That's the granthi. I am not allowed any freedom to even to stretch my hand. There is one thing called a straight jacket. Okay, it's a straight jacket. So they use it in sometimes in the prisons when a prisoner or some prisoners go out of control. Then the jailers put a straight jacket till the fellow quietens. Okay, it's like it's like a with hand. It's like a shirt, but then you can't move your hands freely. The hand is stiff, you can't move. And then the straight jacket may also have a rope also, so it's tied. And sometimes they use in the mental institutions also. Suppose a patient, a person, in the mental institution. Suppose the fellow goes wild. Suppose, which is not very often. Suppose, and then for the safety of the person and safety of others, for the sake of that, they put the person the timing straight jacket. Now, I am the samsari, I am in the straight jacket called samsara, right? I feel I am in a samsara straight jacketed one. So there will be bondage, no freedom within. You don't discover the freedom. Will be aham, mama, adi, granthi, the knots, the binding knot. Ahamkara, I notion, I. Taking oneself here, I notion means identifying with the sharira and the body. That's the ahankara here. Ahankara means my identification with the body and the mind. I take it as true. Right? That's my starting assumption. I am my body, full stop. I am my mind, full stop. I am my thoughts. I am my ideas. I am my outlook. I am my notions, full stop. Then everything follows. Right? And with that starting point, I look at people, situations, life, everything I look at. So, I start with a wrong measure, a wrong scale. Okay. I don't remember whether I told this. Suppose I have a wrong scale in which it's marked 11, it's only 11 inches, okay? But it says 12 inches. It says 1 foot. So, with that wrong scale, any measurement I make will be wrong. Any measurement will be wrong. So, full stop. There is no way of correctly measuring with that wrong scale. Okay? Wrong scale means wrong measurement only. There is no way of measuring it right. So, this is if my notion about myself is the scale and with which I measure myself and I measure others also. And this is my scale. I am my body, I am my mind, I am my thoughts, I am my ideas. This is my scale, and then I am going to meet with difficulties everywhere, right? And then, because it's a wrong scale, that's the ahankara. And ahankara, the mamakara is an extension of this ahankara. Born of ahankara, this mamakara comes. This is mine, right? This is mine, this belonging is mine. That limits me. This is mine means what is not mine is always infinite. What is mine is always finite. What is not mine is always going to be infinite. This is my body and this is me. When I say that, what is not me is always going to be overwhelmingly huge, big, crushing, right? Huge it is. So, ahankara, the mamakara is merely an extension of this ahankara. Ahankara, mamakara. And then adi, the acharya word, use the word adi. Adi means sukhi, dukhi. I am a happy person, I am subject to happiness, I am subject to suffering, I am subject to sadness. This kartrutva, bhoktrutva, all these are the granthi. They use this Brahma granthi, Vishnu granthi, Rudra granthi. They use this word. Granthi. It's all one really. Granthi is one. But then it creates newer and ideas and notions are created. Brahma granthi. And then they are kept going. Vishnu granthi. And then I give up certain notions to pick up only another wrong notion. That is the Rudra granthi. Right? In one of the Sahasranama, right? Lalita Sahasranama, it comes Brahma Granthi Vibhedinyai, Vishnu Granthi Vibhedinyai, Rudra Granthi Vibhedinyai, etc. It comes. The Lalita Sahasranama, it comes. So, Granthi, the bondage, we create new erroneous notions, we sustain new erroneous notions, and then we give up one erroneous notion only to pick up another incorrect notion, incomplete, incorrect notion. These are all the Granthi. Ahankara, Mamakara Adi, Granthim. These are the bondage. Binding ropes, binding wires. These, continuing, Dahati, Basmi Karoti, burns up to ashes. Dahati, burns means Basmi Karoti, made into ashes. Like even the fire burns wood and any other fuel thrown in it to ashes. Like here, day yesterday I thought, no, there is one verse in the Atma Bodha, no? There is a verse echoing this idea. Evam Atma Aranau Dhyana Matane Satatam Krute Udita Avagati Jwala Sarva Ajnana Indanam Dahe. This is a verse in the Atma Bodha which we saw. Evam Atma Aranau. Thus, in the Arani, the block of Atma self, Udita Dhyana Matane Krite, the very same words, Dhyana Matana Krite, when the churning is done, churning of inquiry is done. And when it is done, Satatam, continuously, repeatedly it's done, then what happens? Udita, born. What is born? Avagati, Jwala, the fire of wisdom. What does it do? Sarva, Ajnana, Indhanam, the head burns up the entire ignorance, effects of ignorance. Atma Bodha echoes this verse. Okay. Dahati Basmi Karoti. Also remember in the Bhagavad Gita, we see this Jnana Agnihi, Karma, Sarva Karmani, Basmasat Kurute. Nahi Jnanena Sadrisham, Pavitram, Iha Vidyate. It's in the 4th chapter. Very beautiful words. There is nothing which is more purifying than wisdom. Nothing comparable to wisdom, which is the purifier. Because Jnana Agni, the fire of knowledge, burns up all karma. All karma means kartrutva. Kartrutva means ajnanam. Okay. Basmi karoti. Iti. Thus, panditaha. The iti means basmi karoti iti. The iti word explains dahati. Dahati means basmi karoti iti. And then, who burns? Panditaha. The commentator explains this in a way here. He says, Panda. What is Panda? Aham Brahma Asmi iti. Buddhihi. The understanding, the wisdom that I am Brahman. This is the Panda. The wisdom is Panda. And then, Tam Itaha. So, the commentator splits the word Panda Itaha. Pandam Itaha is equal to Panditaha. The Itaha he takes it this separately. Pandam Itaha. This is how he takes it. Tam Itaha. Praptaha. Gone to. Itaha means gone to. Meaning Praptaha, gotten. One who has gotten. One who gets the wisdom. Aham Brahmasmi iti. That buddhi, one who has that, one who has gained that, that is the Panditaha. That person is the Pandita. Panditaha Ajnana Indhanam Basmi Karoti Pasham Dahati. Okay. Now in the following 1, 2, 3, 4, counting it differently, 4 3 mantras, the jivas coming into samsara, the picture briefly portrayed. How the jiva, how the atma comes to be a jiva, how it enjoys samsara, comes to enjoy samsara or suffer samsara, That is briefly presented here. A brief portrait. One goes through the 3 states of experience and then takes oneself as the waker, dreamer, sleeper, and then whatever experiences that happen in the waking, dreaming, and then one identifies with that, and then one is a sukhi, dukhi, etc., and then wants to be free from some, and then wants to repeat some, right? Wants to get what is not gotten, wants to be free from what one sees as a dukkha hetu, etc. The samsara goes on. That is presented in the following 3 mantras. Okay. Now, the commentator introduces this. Nanu asya asangasya udasinasya advitiyasya kutaha samsaraha pasharupaha iti. This is the question here. Nanu, now, asya, of this, asangasya, who is never touched by asangaha. I am asangaha. Atma is asangaha, untouched by anything. And udasinaha, not affected by anything, not touched by anything. Asangaha, therefore udasinaha. Udasinaha means not affected by anything. This is the truth of Atma. And this Atma is Advitiya, secondless, the only truth. And then for such entity, Kutaha samsaraha, how can there be samsara? Which is Pasharupaha, which is said as Pasha in this mantra. Iti, this is the question. Ataha aha. The Atma appearing, how the Atma appears to be a samsari, that is presented, portrayed in this mantras. Sayeva maya parimohitatma shariramaastaya karoti sarvam striyanna padnadi vichitra bhogaihi sayeva jagrat paritriptimeti. So it's time now. So we'll take a break again and then we'll resume later on. Okay. Om Bhadram Karneti Shriyana Deva Bhadram Pashyemakshaviryajatraha Sthirairangai Sustvagusastanubhi Yashema Devahitam Yadayu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravaha Swasti na Purusha Vishvaveda Swasti na Starsho Harishtadimihi Swasti no Brihaspati Dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hare Om.